Okay, Mayor, we are ready to go whenever you are. Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, we have Councilmember Marquez, Councilmember Cabrera, okay, Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Baca. Okay, great. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started tonight. Good evening and welcome to the joint meeting of the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley Community Services District, City as successor agency for the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Moreno Valley Housing Authority, Moreno Valley Public Financing Authority, and the Board of Library Trustees. The City Council receives a separate stipend for CSD meetings. I now call this regular City Council meeting to order on January 19th at 6:03 p.m. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Marquez.
Here.
Member Cabrera.
I'm here.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Here.
Mayor Gutierrez.
Here.
Let the record reflect Councilmember Thornton is absent.
Staff introductions, please.
Pat Hock is not a city clerk.
Steve Quintanilla, interim city attorney.
Mike Lee, City Manager. Marshall Ironman, Assistant City Manager, Chief Financial Officer.
Michael Wolf, Assistant City Manager, Director of Public Works, City Engineer.
Manuel Mancha, Community Development Director.
Patty Solano, Parks and Community Services Director.
Okay, great.
Ron Salt, Chief of Police.
Abdul Ahmed, Fire Chief.
Thank you. Thank you, staff. Now we will go to public comments this evening. Before we do go to public comments, I do encourage everyone to be respectful to everyone that's here and to the audience as well. I do respect our First Amendment rights, but I think we can accomplish more if we're kind to each other as well. So please bear in mind that comments are limited to 3 minutes. And in order to preserve the meeting decorum, council and staff will not respond during public comments. So if you have any specific questions, we'll respond towards the end of the meeting, or you can email any of the council members or the staff. Any person wishing to address myself and the City Council on any matter, either under the public comments for non-agenda items or items on the agenda, may do so now. Madam Clerk, how many speakers do we have tonight?
Oh.
We have 5 speakers, but only 2 are in. So we'll be calling just Angel Lopez and Brandon Karn.
Okay, yeah, just the ones that are here. Okay.
Yes, hello, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And I want to start off by saying good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. Tonight, I am speaking on agenda items 8, 10, and 8-11. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Ironman for taking the time today to call me earlier and bring me up to date on the bidding process for city contracts, the process for vendors to meet regulations by the state and insurance matters. And during the course of our conversation, even proposed a solution for establishing future workshops to get more Moreno Valley businesses involved with contract bidding procedures, and hopefully they can win contracts so that taxpayer money is spent responsibly here locally, especially during the era of COVID. Now, regarding the COVID pandemic that we've experienced, May 2020, during the peak of job losses in Moreno Valley, and it's unfortunate that occurred, but Moreno Valley lost 14,700 jobs per the California Employment Development Department. And because of many Moreno Valley residents are still out of work, with many businesses having uncertainty if they will still be in business 3 months from now, 4 months from now, 6 months from now. I oppose item agenda A10 and A11 for the purpose of keeping Moreno Valley contracts locally to Moreno Valley companies. Understandably so, contracts would be awarded to vendors with the lowest bid. However, in the age of COVID, perhaps thinking outside the box with local Moreno Valley companies that can become bidders, competitive, and probably the lowest bidders that can win these contracts enables the city to keep these taxpayer dollars locally, where these companies can hire local workers, and these local workers can spend their money here locally, and the money just keeps getting reinvested in the community, which is better for us, especially during the age of COVID, when most people are still out of work, that number in the thousands. And hopefully this can be a lesson for the future with future workshops, competitive vendors that can bid successfully on city contracts, that can invest these contract dollars back to our city. And again, I urge the council tonight to please table the matter to correct erroneous information on item A11 for a vendor whose information was listed in Modesto when the vendor is actually located in the city of Norwalk here in Southern California. So again, I urge the council table the matter, go back to the drawing board, and that concludes my comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Angel. We have another speaker. Brandon?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been coming to the city council meetings since September about the corruption indictment that occurred in Tulare County. Those indicted were the younger brother of Ito Benzivi of Highland Fairview, who operates in Moreno Valley, and an attorney named Bruce Green that has operated with Highland Fairview for 20 years. The company that was subject to the indictments in Tulare County was called Healthcare Conglomerate Associates, that Ito Benzivi co-founded and operated with his brother, and that Bruce Green was involved in. Some of those charges included money laundering, embezzlement, conflict of interest, and both were charged in that situation. Now, the reason I'm the last time I reported to you, Benny Benzivi was brought back from the Philippines by the FBI and was arrested at LAX on December 4th last month. We were expecting them to be arraigned in early January, but some interesting developments have occurred in that time that I really think the public should be quite aware of. Benny Benzivi and probably Bruce Green are now expected to be arraigned on these charges in mid-February, February 17th. But an interesting headline came out of it from the San Joaquin Valley Sun newspaper in the Central Valley. I thought was quite telling of these business people, including Ito Benzivi, and who they affiliate with. This is important because Highland Fairview, under the direction of Ito Benzivi, and actually with the assistance of Bruce Green in some instances, has diverted hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign donations to the current city mayor, Victoria Baca, Ulysses Cabrera, and others through super PACs that he formed and otherwise. And the headline from this newspaper reads, and you can look this up, facing litany of charges, ex-Tulare hospital exec, who's Benny Benzivi, seeks defenders of Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein, and Casey Anthony. He is currently seeking the support of an attorney named Ronald Sullivan, who represented Harvey Weinstein in his earliest sexual criminal prosecutions and trials and situations. He was actually an undergraduate dean at Harvard Law School, but then was removed from that position because he affiliated himself so much personally with Weinstein. This is actually one of the attorneys that Benny Benzivi is seeking out to defend himself. And I would not be surprised if Bruce Green was too. This is, this is a real headline, and this is really telling of who Highland Fairview's leadership and those involved in this other company affiliate themselves with. I mean, it's bad they already have an attorney that's been indicted, and they're already unethical in Moreno Valley and the Central Valley, but this takes the cake. And this is who, at least one of these company individuals, who most of our city council takes so much money from. It's really sad and unsavory that this is the situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, thank you, Brendan. Any other speakers that are here? Pat?
No.
Okay, great. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to, before we get to this, to our special order of business, but at this time, Would any council members like to say their closing comments at this time? We'll go straight to our special order of business, and we have a really great order of business tonight, one that we don't do very often, and it's the Mayor's Award of Valor. Quite honestly, the last time I think we did this was about 5 or actually about 7 years ago, and so we're doing this tonight for extraordinary reasons, and so we'll go ahead and start it tonight, our special presentation. The award was actually given on March 25th, 2014, so several years ago. And tonight we will be giving the award to 3 courageous city staff members, David Cerna, Alfred Fierro, and James Gutierrez, to thank and recognize them for their extraordinary efforts. As your mayor, I know that our residents and I can take great pride in having staff who genuinely care for Moreno Valley and take pride in the work that they do. These 3 city employees demonstrated the depth of their dedication and commitment to our community by putting themselves in harm's way to render aid to residents on December 16, 2020. So here's a little bit of background of what actually transpired on that night or that day. That morning, on the corner of Eucalyptus and Kitchen Streets, David Cerna and Alfred Fierro were working on repairing the sidewalk when they heard a loud noise. A speeding driver ran a stop sign, struck one car, and rolled over the top of another car. Just imagine that. David Cerna and Alfred Fierro immediately rushed to help the victims of the car accident. While waiting for the first responders to arrive, Alfred extinguished the vehicle fire. David extracted a young boy from the speeding vehicle and covered him with his jacket to keep him from going into shock. While David and Alfred were tending to the accident, James Gutierrez jumped into action and began directing traffic away from the scene to help prevent further accidents. The quick action and selfless determination of these 3 employees prevented this emergency from evolving into a tragedy. That morning, these 3 men not only helped our residents, they also demonstrated one of the fundamental values of public service, which is to act in a way that exhibits our vested interest in the most precious aspect of our community, its people. For their quick thinking and heroic actions of that morning, it is my pleasure and honor to bestow upon these employees the highest honor that any city can give, and that's the Mayor's Award of Valor. These employees have served the city of Moreno Valley for a combined 39 years. They have all lived or currently live in our beautiful city of Moreno Valley, and I could not ask for better neighbors. David Cerna is married to his wife, Christy, and has 3 children. He has worked for our city for 13 years and lived here for 12 years. While he was a resident, he was actively involved in local youth sports programs. Alfred has lived in Moreno Valley and worked for our city for more than 20 years. He has been married to his wife for 39 years. That's great, wonderful. And together they enjoy traveling and taking cruises, love cruises. James Gutierrez is a proud homeowner in Moreno Valley with a passion for raising his children and being a father. He has worked for the city for 6 years and genuinely enjoys his work. All 3 of these employees work for our maintenance and operations department, which keeps our city going, from filling potholes to fixing sidewalks, cleaning up graffiti and litter abatement. Our maintenance and operations crews work tirelessly to keep our city clean and moving. David, Alfred, and James, the City Council and I would like to extend our sincerest gratitude for your daily service, your willingness to go above and beyond the call of duty, and how you showed that you genuinely care for this community. We are also very proud of you, and I know that all of your friends and family watching tonight are proud of you as well. When we first heard the message about what happened, I was just so happy and proud that we have city employees like the 3 of you that helped that family. Michael Wolf, who is our Assistant City Manager and Public Works Director and City Engineer, is here tonight. Michael, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Mayor. Good evening again. Yeah, these are three gentlemen that represent Public Works in the extreme, as you read through their, not only their day-to-day activities, but certainly responding to these emergencies. And I when I heard the names, I wasn't surprised. These gentlemen are top notch, and we just really appreciate their response and their willingness to do the things that they needed to do to help these people out. So yeah, just great group of guys.
Great, thank you so much. And at this time, I'd like to ask if any Alfred, James, or David, if you'd like to say a few words.
On behalf of my coworkers and myself, we would like to thank you, Mayor Dr. Gutierrez, and all involved with the City of Moreno Valley for acknowledging us with this honorable award. We really appreciate it. Thank you to all.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you so much. And again, on behalf of the council and the City of Moreno Valley, thank you again for your extraordinary service and your commitment to our residents. Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Is it okay to show the pictures of this accident to what these guys are a hero to?
Yes, I don't know if we have that already ready.
I don't know, but I do.
Okay, there, let's see if we can, there you go, can you see it?
I don't know if we could see it or not. This is one of the vehicles.
Pretty bad.
Let me see if I can get the other ones up real quick. There's a head-on collision vehicle. There's the vehicle head-on. Just real quick, I want to show you this vehicle that these guys put their life ahead of everybody else's. This is the vehicle that they pulled the gentlemen or the kids out of. The vehicle was on fire, had gas. I was there. I lived down the street from this. And when I saw this, this is where the kid was pulled out. I saw the yellow jacket laying next to this truck. And I seen the vehicle, city vehicle parked nearby. And it really, I mean, it scared me. But when I found out what these guys did, their response, I don't know what else to say, but to me, thank you guys. You guys did a marvelous job, and it looks like you might have saved some people also. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, again, on behalf of the city, thank you, and for this amazing service. And I know that family is very blessed that you guys did what you did to help them. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're going to move on to our consent calendar, and which is sections A through E on the agenda. They're considered to be routine and non-controversial, may be enacted in one motion. Each motion shall be deemed to be a separate motion by each agency and shall be so recorded by the city clerk. At this time, are there any items for discussion? If just wave or your hand or. Okay, Councilor Marquez.
Yeah, A10 and A11, I just want some clarification on that, that's all.
Okay, all right, so A10, we'll go ahead and have, I believe that Parks and Community Services, so did you want to ask any specific questions or you just want to?
Well, I want the address. I've been approached by several, one speaker tonight, question about the address. Just to have it on record, on our staff reports, it shows the same address on both of them, one from Gate Steel and one from the sign company. Just for the records, does anybody have the correct addresses to these two businesses?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, this is Marshall Ironman, Assistant City Manager. As I spoke with Mr. Lopez today, I do appreciate him identifying that item. For the record, item A10 for the electronic marquee, that bid is going to the lowest responsible bidder, which is Sign Designs, Inc. That's at 204 Campus Way, Modesto, California. For item A11, for the demonstration garden, that is the lowest responsible bidder is Golden Gate Steel. Their address, which was incorrect in the staff report, has been corrected. It is 14709 Carmenita Road, Norwalk, California. And that address matches what was provided on their bid proposal. So that has been corrected on our end. And just noting both of these items, as they are public works projects, we are required under specific rules to award these to the lowest qualified responsible bidder. That concludes my item, unless you have any additional questions.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Marshall. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other items?
Mayor, I would like to make a comment on this item. No questions, just a comment.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. So just a quick comment to echo one of the public speakers' comments, really trying to put an emphasis on educating and empowering our local Moreno Valley businesses to make sure that they're on the email list and they're receiving the information when these requests for proposals are, publicized, because it is important. I know that it may not always be the case that our Moreno Valley businesses will get these contracts and get the bids awarded to them. In this particular case, it's a public works contract, so it by law has to go to the lowest responsible bidder. But I think it is a good practice and actually a business-friendly practice for our local business owners to really make that push, to put more material out there, to make a better effort to educate them so that they're aware of these bids when they do come out, so that they can, at the very least, submit an application and apply for these contracts. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Great. Okay. All right. At this time, because we've already done public comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar. Okay, motion by Councilor Marquez.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, second by Councilor Cabrera. Okay, go ahead and call for a voice vote. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Councilmember Marquez?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Baca?
Yes.
Mayor Gutierrez?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 ayes.
Okay, great. We're going to go straight to general business now. And we're going to start off with our budget development fiscal years 2021, 2022, 2022-23. And we'll have a report from Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members. If I may, I'm going to share my screen here to walk through this presentation.
And just so you know, it's a receiving file, correct, Marshall?
Yes, it is.
Just receiving file.
Perfect. So the item this evening, what we're looking at is the kickoff of our budget development process for the next 2 fiscal years. Currently, we're in fiscal year 2021, which ends on June 30th. So we've begun the planning for the next 2 fiscal years. Moreno Valley is very proud of our past financial status through the City Council's direction. We've had 8 years of balanced budgets. We've pulled through a recession. We've been dealing with COVID, making very fiscally responsible adjustments to make sure that we continue to maintain a balanced budget for the community. And the item tonight is really kind of the kickoff for the next 2-year budget. So we want to just, from a high level, discuss the foundation, not get into the specifics of where the money's going and all those items, but let you know what building blocks we're looking at as we walk through this process. So when we look at the calendar, city staff began planning for the next two-year budget in November, December. The finance department starts looking at the trend analysis, what's going on, and developing our internal budgets. And then we come through the process, January, February, through many public meetings, presenting proposed budgets as we get towards March and April, and then working through the final details to adopt a final budget in May, June timeline. What's very key in this process is we really focus on a citizen engagement, and we really center that in the middle of all that we do. What we've learned over the years is we want to make sure that there are multiple avenues to engage the public, whether it's electronic through the Online Balancing Act, whether it's in person through public hearings, town hall meetings, finance subcommittee. We also provide a lot of the information online through the budget website. So we try to find multiple avenues to make sure the public can be engaged, provide responses, and work through this process with us. And as we go through this, a lot of what we're looking at on this budget as we develop it is the consistent direction from council over the years has been to maintain a balanced budget. As we started through a lot of this path in the last recession, the common theme was live within our means. So through the past 8 years, we've done that, and we're looking to structure a budget that keeps us within our means over the next 2 years as well. And the critical backbone for this was momentum moval, but it's also always looking at our strengths and foundations. Where's our fiscal health? Where are the trends on the revenues and expenditures? And always planning ahead to make sure we're not surprised in the future. So as we talk about kind of the fiscal health, we have different tools that we examine, just generally looking at the general fund. Couple key things here, our operations fund balances, liquidity, the extent of general fund subsidizing other funds has been limited. It's, we've got the green smiley faces to show that we're in a positive condition there. The two areas that we always want to watch though are conditions of capital assets. We have 50 square miles of streets, other assets. We've always got to maintain those. We have Moreno Valley Utility with their assets. So it's assuring that we put forth those maintenance efforts to keep our assets valuable. The other item is, fixed costs that we always have to deal with. We talk about public safety, but the increase of minimum wage each January has an impact to our parks department. The cost for electricity and water has impacts across the board. And so those are things that are out of our control that we just want to monitor. So we always kind of keep that as a cautionary so that we're monitoring each step along the way. Citywide practices and conditions, as we mentioned, we didn't get 8 years of balanced budget and being ranked the third fiscally fit city without having good fiscal controls, which are overseen by the city council and the policies they approve. So we've maintained a lot of these items. So with our fiscal health really in a good foundation, we look at the other items of the budget. And as we do that, one of the things is making sure that we have reserves. We do have our rainy day fund, emergency funds, and cash flow reserves. Those are all within policy standards right now. The cash flow, as we do not receive our largest revenue source of property taxes until January, we have 58% of the fiscal year that we have to have cash on hand to carry us until we receive those property taxes. So that's always a question that comes up, why we have that amount of cash flow. We wouldn't be able to operate without those funds due to that shortfall or that timing of revenues coming in. The other foundations, as I mentioned, we look at momentum moval. As council adopted this strategic plan, it provided 6 key strategic priorities. And really what this does is it provides a good, strong foundation and forces us to focus on quality of life as we look towards the future of Moreno Valley. So not always just maintenance and sustaining what we have, but reinvesting or having these strategic reinvestments in our community to move forward towards the quality of life. Just pointing out, like item number 3, libraries. We've added 2 new libraries over the past couple of years, where for 30 years, this city only had 1 library. So it kind of shows the value that this plan has had in reinvesting in the community. Now with the budget, there are a couple key things that we look at from the revenue side. As I mentioned, our largest revenue sources are sales tax, property tax, UUT. Sales taxes, although we did take a hit during COVID, they've tended to stabilize. They haven't returned to pre-COVID numbers. So we've got to continue to monitor that as that's changed how consumers act when they're buying things. More online consumption than stores. As we look towards property taxes, normally we see about 2% plus of annual growth. Some of this is new development, some of this is the Prop 13 growth, which has a maximum. That amount actually has been cut by the state for the next year, so we're trying to balance that out. So we'll see where our projected growth rates are. Luckily, we continue to be a developing city. Our utilities user tax has been discussed multiple years, has been kind of the stability through the last 2 recessions. The one thing though is that this number really hasn't grown for the last decade, but it becomes a little bit less and less of the general fund each year. So we're becoming more dependent on those sales tax, property taxes, and we've added some new taxes. Our cannabis tax, we're beginning to see some of the operations open. We're hoping that that will generate substantial revenue over the next 2-year budget. And then with our transient occupancy tax, we had increased our rate a couple of years past, and we've been opening new hotels. So as we get through COVID, we may see more demand on those hotels that will help provide a diverse revenue source for the city. As we look at our expenses, there are many things that we see in the trend. Public safety is here because between police and fire, that represents the majority of our budget. We have numbers here from past trends. Police may increase up to 7.5% a year and fire 5%. Hopefully with some of the impacts in the economy, we may not see these increases, but those are the initial projections that we've been provided. When we look at public works and community development, we continue to invest more into public works for our infrastructure and our maintenance and our potholes, and community development to assure that we have code enforcement or community enhancement in place. But with these items, as we try to move forward with these investments, we also try to be more cost effective or efficient in our operations. And so we haven't seen large increases, but we try to maintain kind of a flat picture as we move forward and do a little bit more each year with a little less expenses. And then when we're looking at the budget, we always have to look kind of outside that 2-year budget window as well to know what the impacts are beyond what we're looking at or what we're adopting today. As we know, expenditures continue to increase year over year. Cost inflators are always in place. Salaries keep going up for minimum wage and those items. And our revenue growth from existing sources is beginning to flatten out. And so we always want to keep that in the back of our mind in consideration over the long time. Again, one of the best things that Moreno Valley has over other jurisdictions is we have economic development opportunities. We've got 40 to 50% of this city that's undeveloped that will be an investment into where this city ends up in the future, and really kind of that strong foundation that separates us from the rest of cities in California. So we hope to focus on economic development, get those businesses, those operations, the jobs, the homes, all of those in Moreno Valley to really help us invest in the quality of life for tomorrow. So with that, that's kind of the very rough, high overview of the budget process. We'll be coming back with different town hall meetings, study sessions to discuss certain topics within that budget. But we did want to kick it off and give you kind of this precursor of everything that we're looking at as we go through the process. And I know with the City Council, all of these members have been through the budget process before, so they're familiar with it as well. With that, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Marshall. And just so the public also knows too, we'll have those town hall meetings, I believe one study session, I think in February. And then the finance subcommittee meeting?
Yes, we reserve study sessions possibly in February, March, April, depending on topics and council's directions on discussions. We have a subcommittee the fourth Tuesday of every month where we're available to discuss our other topics. And then based on a lot of those study sessions or other items, we go out with the town hall meetings and present it to the public as well. So many times when they're not able to make it to a council meeting or listen to the Zoom, we can go out and speak with them.
Thank you. Yeah, no, so there's a whole process that we have out there and for public input. So I want to encourage as many residents to come out and say, what else needs to be included. One thing I really feel, at least, just from recently, coming out from an election, and just speaking to a lot of residents is the infrastructure, the public works, the streets that we have really being needed to, be fixed more and more investments in that area. Obviously, we can have more separate meetings, offline here. And then when we have the study session also, and then the finance subcommittee meeting. But I do want to see a little bit more of where, some information that's included on that. If we can incorporate that, other than just the SB1, I think it's important that we really invest, in fixing our streets, in the infrastructure, pretty bad in many different areas. And we have done a lot already, which is good. And thank goodness for the SB1, but I think a lot of residents are kind of feeling that, especially like Ironwood and there's a lot of major streets, arterial streets and residential streets too. But any comments? Anybody? Okay, Councilor Cabrera. And then Councilor Marquez.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Dave. Marshall, thank you so much for the presentation. As always, precise and on point. I do want to commend you, your team, Mike Lee, everyone at City Hall for keeping us, continually on a balanced budget. This past year has been difficult in various aspects, economically, public health aspects, and more. But you always figure out a way to keep us on a balanced budget, and we really, really appreciate that, because we're able to continue putting these programs in place, and kind of like the mayor was just talking about, and to add to that, we know that we need funding and revenues to invest into roads and infrastructure and more programs, and to continue building on all the progress that we have made so far. And some of the things that I've brought up in the past, and I've seen other jurisdictions do, I've had these conversations with you sometimes, with our team over at City Hall. We have a lot of industrial properties, and we have a lot of growth coming in the future. And I know that other jurisdictions, they capitalize and capture some of this revenue in various forms, whether that's doing some of the things we've already done, such as bringing sales desks with these industrial properties, so that we capture the sales tax revenue. Also, value-added taxes, also, industrial property taxes. There's a lot of different things that, could potentially be explored and implemented to fund all of these things that we are talking about, like fixing the roads, because we're tens of millions of dollars behind on repaving and repairing and maintaining our roads. And I just wanted to throw a few ideas out there as we move forward as a city. There are other options out there besides increasing taxes on our residents, on our homeowners and our tenants. I'm not in favor of doing those things. I think there are other things where we don't tax the people of Moreno Valley and get money from elsewhere to pay for all of these investments. I know we can do it. It's just a matter of putting it into policy and making it law here in our city. So once again, Marshall, thank you so much. Tremendous work, amazing work, and thank everyone at City Hall.
Thank you. And Councilor Marquez.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Roberto pretty much said what I was going to say, but I just want to thank Marshall for your just unbelievable. You get out there and you find that money for us. But there's one thing that a lot of residents will ask me is, if the city is so financially able to, all the money we have, why can't we fix our roads? And my answer is, not all the monies that come into the city, some of it's dedicated for certain items. Your developers, when they come in, that part of their general plan or their plans are, they have to fix the roads that they built around. That's not the city's. We don't spend money on that. The developers do. But the thing about it is, the residents got to understand that we can't pull money out from these other departments to fix our roads, because they're only designated for certain things, and we just can't do that. And another thing is raising taxes. There's some cities that have their sales tax at 8 point something or 9 point. There's some cities in Los Angeles are over 9%. And when somebody says, well, raise taxes, everybody freezes up. Oh, here we go again, more money, they want more money. And we haven't done that. I mean, we got one of the lowest sales tax in Southern California. But we do manage, and I just ask the residents, just, please be patient with us. We will get to the roads, especially the residential roads. Summer's coming up. We have a 5-year plan coming. We'll be getting some of these roads. We've got some money, but we just can't take it out from other departments. We just can't do that. So I just wanted to say is this, be patient. And Mike Wolf and his crew, they do a heck of a job when it comes to potholes. I mean, I can call them within hours. They're out there filling these potholes. And it's, a pothole develops over time. It just doesn't happen. So when it does happen, I get a call or I see something. My colleagues do the same thing. We get on the phone. Mike gets his crew out there and patches up these holes. I know the damage can cost your automobiles. So if you see a pothole out there, get on the phone. Call Mike direct, Mike Wolf direct if you want to, or call our office and leave messages. We'll get those messages over to Mike Wolf and his crew. But Again, I want to thank Marshall. I want to thank Mike Wolf, and especially I want to thank Mike Lee. So you guys are doing a heck of a job. Keep it up. And I'm so glad that we're one of the richest city in the county. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Well, I guess everything that I was going to say has been said already, so I don't want to repeat it. But that's what happens when you go last, right? But anyhow, I just wanted to commend the staff because they've always done a good job in keeping us financially solvent. And we've even received an award for and named the third most fiscally solvent city in the nation. So I know that we're doing well as far as our budget, but we got to keep up the good work. And we have to take into consideration that we're not receiving certain revenue because of COVID-19 and the governor putting a halt to sales taxes. So we're not collecting. Plus we implemented some changes also in collecting revenue because of COVID-19 to protect our residents. So we're not receiving certain amount of money or revenue from the programs that we have out there. So we need to keep the budget tight and not spend when we don't have to. But coming off an election year, the complaints that I heard were, of course, the infrastructure. When are you going to fix my street? The trash along the off ramps and down the main corridors, and homeless people. And we have to remember that the homeless problem is something that we're working on every single day with a new development at the district in District 1. A lot have been displaced from their squatting on private property, so they're moving, so you're going to see them. And as far as the streets, you're going to see a lot of street improvement coming up. So thank you, staff, and thank you, Mayor, for your leadership.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for those comments. And again, thank you to the staff for their hard work in putting this together. And I know that it can be very difficult, and we're going to have more meetings about this. We're going to, again, like I mentioned, we'll have some town halls where the community can come in and speak. And then also a study session. And then we also have our finance subcommittee meeting, and then it'll come back to the council meeting. Okay, so it's just a receive and file. And we'll go to our item G2, which is very related to what we were actually speaking about. And I know that the staff has already done an excellent job in creating this pavement management program 5-year look ahead plan. And so I don't want to steal their thunder, so I'll let Michael from Public Works, also our Assistant City Manager, share his report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening again, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. A lot of discussion about streets today, so very apropos that we're going to have this conversation. I'm going to share my screen with you, if you don't mind.
Sure, thank you. Appreciate that.
Michael, can you go full screen? Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we've talked all about it this afternoon or this evening about the streets, and what we wanted to discuss is our next year of our pavement management program. So every year for the last several years, we've come to council with an update on we call it the 5-year look ahead, or 5-year plan. So just some stats there. You can see the streets are the city's largest asset in terms of dollar value. You know, 600 million in assets. We do have over 250 $1 million worth of deferred maintenance, 100 million, which is critical. So there's a lot of repairs that are necessary across the city. And so as we look at this, what we're trying to do is identify our priorities. And so with council's assistance, the last couple of years, we've been able to put together this pavement management program. And as outlined in the staff report and numerous times conversation at council, there are selection criteria. You know, we could pick a lot of streets, but how do we prioritize them? So we take a look at the pavement condition index, which is a number. We take a look at the amount of volume of traffic. We also take a very long look at how often we're out there repairing potholes. So there's a lot of selection criteria that goes into that. We also are recommending, as we discussed before, not just corrective maintenance. We need to be looking at a preventative maintenance as well to stretch those dollars as far as possible to spend you know, as much on preventative maintenance as possible so that we can do that at a very less amount of cost than it does for corrective maintenance. So we do have the 5-year look ahead. We are making some suggestions for some minor changes. Staff does recent field visits. We go out there and take a look at the current conditions. That it was never the intent that the 5-year look ahead was a static. It needed to be dynamic, and in order to address any existing conditions that may change over time, which they do. So we did some recent field visits and make some recommendations. But the majority of what's being presented tonight in the staff report and the attached maps is the addition of the 5th year. So we're trying to make sure we have five years on the books, if you will. So the new segments for fiscal year 2025 and 2026, that 5th year, are shown on those maps. So I'm not going to put the maps up, but if you have any questions, I do have them available. But that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. And again, for your diligent work in putting this together, and your staff as well. Can't thank you enough. Really appreciate it. Any on this one, any council questions of staff? So this one we are going to take a vote. So just any questions?
One question, Mayor, quick question.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Mike, how many times a year do we get this money from the state for the SB1? How often do we get that money?
So SB1 comes monthly. It's a monthly allocation, and we collect that over the 12-month period. And then once we get those 12 months, then we execute the project. So it's a monthly allotment based on quite a bit of formula, based on gas tax formulas that are in the state code. But we get collected monthly, and then so fiscal year 2021, which what we're currently in, we're collecting that funds right now, and then come the summertime, that's when we'll expend those funds.
Okay, thank you. That's all I do. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, no worries. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. We already did. Oh, okay.
I do have a quick question as well. Sorry about
question?
that. Yes, thank you. Michael, just a quick question on the SB1. Are we, are we still anticipating any funds for this next fiscal year? If so, do we have an idea approximately how much we're going to receive from the state?
So the state puts out recommendations in terms of forecasting. They come out every 6 months or so. The last one we've received was several months old, but we're actually trending towards what was originally discussed for this fiscal year. There was a downtick, if you will, from the COVID from last year, but we're on pace to get the I want to say it's about 3.6 million in SB1 funds, based on the 3 months. Now the way we collect funding, it's done every month, but September technically is the first month of the year, just because of the way it's sort of in the arrears, if you will. So what's been trending since September, October, November, and December is we're trending towards what was projected for our whole entire fiscal year. We also use CDBG funds for this program as a reminder, so it's not just SB1 funds. We tried to make sure we allocate as much CDBG funds in the CDBG target area as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Michael. That's good to hear, because I think previously we didn't really know what to expect in terms of SB1 revenue for this coming fiscal year. But that's good to hear that we're on track for approximately 3.6 million. I believe that's slightly more than what we had this previous fiscal year. So hopefully we'll be able to, invest a little bit more, repave a few more roads compared to the previous year. So that's really good news. All right. Well, thank you so much, Michael. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem, do you have any comments or?
No, I just motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, second. Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Baca, second by Councilmember Marquez. Madam Clerk, voice vote.
Thank you. Councilmember Marquez?
Yes.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca?
Yes.
Mayor Gutierrez?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 ayes.
Okay, thank you, City Clerk. We do have one City Council report, and then we also have a City Manager's report. I believe our City Manager is going to be giving us a short, brief report on our mobile plan, our Momentum Mobile. But we'll go ahead and start with Mayor Pro Tem Baca for the March Joint Powers Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, I'm providing an update from the March Joint Powers Commission meeting held on January the 13th. The JPA approved the Veterans Industrial Park 215 specific plan for a 2 million square foot industrial building south of the Marchfield Air Museum, west of the runways and north of Paris. The commission also voted to maintain last year's representative on various JPA subcommittees. Dr. Carla Thornton continues to represent Moreno Valley on the March Business Center Implementation Committee, the Development Community Ad Hoc Committee for the area east of I-215, and the Compatibility Use Study Committee. I will continue to serve on the Ad Hoc Park Subcommittee. And that concludes my report.
Mayor Pro Tem, I believe last year you were the chair, right, of the March Joint Commission?
Yes, and
So
this year we have Paris Councilwoman Rita Rogers as our new chair, and Riverside Councilman Chuck Conders as the vice chair for the JPA.
Okay, thank you for that information. Okay, we have a report from our city manager, Mike Lee.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight I have just 3 items. First is I just want to remind the residents that we continue to receive large donations of masks. I want to thank the mayor for his outreach to a lot of our large businesses. We have received many mask donations from a lot of our major employers. Also received a large shipment of hand sanitizers. And those are being given out at our library, our 3 libraries, and also our PERC, our Business and Employment Resource Center. So they are free, no cost, and come over and pick up some free masks and also hand sanitizers from the city. Second item is that we actually started a curative testing. It's actually at the CRC. We started that, and it's very, very easy. You could sign up online at curative.com. It's curative.com. It is at no cost if you don't have insurance. And it's very, very easy to take the test. I believe you can probably take the test within 5 minutes. It's very non-intrusive compared to the other tests. And so we encourage a lot of the residents that need to get their COVID-19 testing, sign up with curative.com to get their testing. And it's actually at the CRC, which is right across from City Hall. And the last item, as the mayor alluded to, we are embarked on our Momentum Mobile. And we are getting near to the completion of that. And so I'm going to turn this over to Michael Wolf to give a brief update on the status of our Momentum Mobile. Michael?
Thank you, Mike. Mayor, if you will, I'll share my screen again, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
Okay, tonight I'll give a very short presentation and update on our city strategic plan. Momentum Mobile was discussed a couple times tonight. Marshall stole a little bit of my thunder, so I will skip over some slides. No, I just think he doesn't want me to talk that long. That's what it was. So, sorry about that. Little change here. No, it's not working on that screen.
You're starting from the end slide, Michael. Can you go back to the beginning slide and then hit you?
Thank you. No, appreciate that. So this is a slide that Marshall showed. This is our strategic plan, our priorities. Just as a reminder, the 6 priorities that we've had, some have very long-term initiatives, some have very short-term initiatives. So we're still working on those initiatives, and we're getting into the long-term ones that have quite a bit of activities to resolve. So we still have 100% on-time delivery of all of our initiatives, which is a good thing. So since the last time council was updated, which is a little over a year ago, we have addressed 4 of those initiatives. And you can see on the screen there that one of them has been economic development, and the third one, or 3 of them, in the infrastructure. And I'll highlight some of the items that we have completed this last year. So the first one, as you see on the screen, was about an incubator space and the employee resource center. So the city has entered into a maintenance or a memorandum of understanding with the Moreno Valley College for the iMake Mobile Innovation Center. So that's something that visits city facilities regularly. And also as part of this, the Employment Resource Center, ERC, has been designated as a business and employment resource center in American Jobs Center of California earlier this year. So that was the result of a lot of hard work from staff and council for item 1.7.3. 4.5.2, with speaking specifically about landscaping and drought tolerant irrigation, staff was able to pull together multiple resources that are already available and have identified new resources for businesses and residents and anybody who wants to understand the ability to do self-sufficiency in terms of irrigation and drought tolerant landscaping. We've consolidated that all into one set of guidelines that's available on the city website. It also has very nice links to some what I believe are very useful interactive tools if you wanted to do any design of your landscaping. So that's available on the city website. And for the last one on the screen, the city staff was able to work with RTA. And so RTA has what's called a comprehensive operational analysis, which is their long-term or their long-range planning document. And has been identified in that long-range document is the possibility of having Alessandro and Paris Boulevard in the city of Moreno Valley designated as bus rapid transit routes, which is a fancy way of saying what kind of efficiencies can be had to make shorter wait times, more efficiency, better amenities. And so that was a solution for item 4.8.2. And we're still working on more initiatives. There's still more to come. The three on the screen were just some of the key initiatives that staff is still working on. Most of them have to do with our general plan, which council knows is currently underway. So the first one is 1.9.4, which is to conduct a comprehensive general plan update. And then item 1.1.8 is talking about some opportunities for beautification, whether that's landscaping or public art, those kinds of things along designated strategic business corridors. And staff is also working on 5.5.2, which is identifying some health elements and wellness programs for city residents and businesses. So that concludes the update of the items that have been completed since last time council was updated. So I'm available for questions, and so are other staff members who may be working directly on some of the initiatives.
Hey, great. Thank you so much, Michael. Any questions?
Mayor, is this a time to comment on this item as well?
That'll be during closing comments. So we'll get to closing comments.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So now we're in closing comments. We'll have Councilmember Marquez.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just real brief. To add on to Mike Wolf's update, I just want to update something that I'm very proud I was able to do, work with the city to do this. Presently, we have a beautified Moreno Valley initiative where residents can volunteer at parks, roadways, to do a lot of these things to help the city to beautify the streets in Moreno Valley. City parks, trails, roadway cleanliness, and any resident could volunteer. If you want to donate money or even sponsor a cleanup, you can go down to www.moval.org/beautify. This will get you into all the programs to work with this initiative for the city. And I'm proud to say that this week, I was able to sponsor Morrison Park. So anybody out there, I know we're not open to parks right now with baseball, but anyone out there that wants to come out and help me clean up that park and do things to it, again, if we do any remodeling, it's got to come approval from parks first. But get out there to do some gardening and clean up the place. So if you are interested, give me a call the office, leave your name, I'll contact you. And we'll get Morrison Park looking like the park it should be looking, and that's one of the things I want to mention. So, secondly, mask and hand sanitizers that the city manager brought up. If any residents want some, give me a call. I'll drop some off to you. I've got my little stash that I was given, and I'll definitely give you guys anyone who needs some out there. Give me a call. I'll drop it off to you. And the last I want to say is be safe out there. This climate change is terrible, and it shows what's going on. Beautiful days we've had the last couple of days, and now look at now what it is outside. We've had some wind issues, And we just got notified of one that a roof came off a apartment complex. And I hope everybody's safe, especially with public safety out there, fire and police. Just be safe out there. And just be careful when you're going around in Moreno Valley or anywhere. That wind's blowing. Today I encountered 2 trash cans go flying across the roadway. So just make sure you're safe out there when you're out in the city with these winds. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you so much, Councilmember Marquez. And we have, sorry, I think it's switching up here. So we have Councilmember Cabrera. Councilmember,
thank you so much. Thank you so much, and good evening. Buenas tardes to everyone. It's good to be back here for another meeting. Just to follow up on a few of the comments from Councilman Marquez, very proud of our Parks Department and Mike Lee and the E-team for putting together the next phase of the Beautify Mobile plan. And it's absolutely amazing. It's a complete and rigorous, strategy plan. And there's a lot of more opportunities now for residents to really get involved. And just like Councilman Marquez, I'm doing the same, adopting a section of Iris Boulevard here in my district to make sure that, it's on paper, it's on the schedule, it's on the calendar, and we know exactly when those cleanups are going to happen. So really hoping that others, will also join on and do the same. And also on the topic of, the weather today has been very abnormal. It's been extremely windy. There's been a lot of accidents today. Unfortunately, it's just been one of those days, but, please stay safe out there. Tomorrow is similar. Please make sure to, stay as warm as you can. Try to stay indoors if you can. And also, there are power outages right now, unfortunately, but I have residents who are messaging me already if we can do anything about it. So I know that all the governments involved are doing everything that they can to keep people safe and to get power back on. So feel free to reach out to us. You can send me a message as well, and if there's something that we can do, we'll absolutely do that. So the next topic I want to talk about actually is a big event tomorrow. We're getting a new president in our country. The inauguration of President-elect Joseph R. Biden, and also the swearing in of the first female vice president in the history of our country, our very own Kamala Harris from the state of California. It's absolutely exciting. Her story is just amazing. She comes from immigrant parents as well. And she's from here, from our state. So just to have someone at that level representing us is absolutely amazing. And on top of that, because of her new position as vice president, Governor Gavin Newsom had to appoint her replacement. And her replacement was none other than the former Secretary of State, Alex Padilla, who is the first Latino senator for the state of California in the history of our state. So that is something I'm extremely proud of, and we should all be proud of as Californians. And he's from Los Angeles too, just like me, So when I look at folks like that come from the same place that I come from, and they're role models, they're examples of what we can aspire to be and what we can accomplish, and so much more. So I just wanted to put a highlight on that. Second to last topic I want to talk about is COVID. The numbers are still high. Our hospitals are still overworked. The hospital staff are working hours on end, but the vaccines are on their way. I know that this initial rollout has been kind of difficult, but please stay tuned. We will have more coming, and we're doing everything we can to ensure that we have more vaccines for our residents. And the last thing I'd like to talk about tonight, I want to make an announcement. I'm extremely excited to announce that I will be running for the office of Mayor of Moreno Valley in 2022. And the past 2 terms that I've been here in the City Council have been a true honor and a pleasure and a joy to serve the constituents of Moreno Valley. My council colleagues, I appreciate every single one of you. We've accomplished so much together. We may not agree on everything. We have our disagreements, but just like a family, at the end of the day, we come back together for what's important, and that is the health and safety and well-being of our residents here in our city. And so I look forward to continuing to serve all of the residents of Moreno Valley. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this next phase in the development of our city. I'm very appreciative again of my colleagues for all the work that we've been able to do together and for leading the way for this next chapter of the city. So with that, I will conclude my comments for tonight. I just want to wish everyone well. Please stay safe, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Thank you.
We have Mayor Pro Tem Baca.
Thank you, Mayor Gutierrez. We right in the middle of the pandemic. I just want to remind everyone, please wear your mask. Protect yourself, protect others, and remember that the city has free mask and sanitizer. You can go to the ERC, the Employment Resource Center, that's by Polly Pies, or any of the libraries that are open on Alessandro, on Paris, and at the mall. Please stay safe and take this seriously. I've lost close friends to this pandemic, to the COVID-19 virus, and I'm sure that many residents are losing friends and family as well. So take it serious and do your best to protect yourself and protect others. And I also want to commend the staff. Tonight's meeting was very positive, and we have a lot of good things happening in Moreno Valley. And like was mentioned, we're not even halfway, we're maybe halfway built out, but we still have a lot to do, and a lot of good projects are coming forward. And I believe that the project at the district will be on the next agenda. So hopefully we can get this going. So I want to say thank you and good night.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem Baca. I appreciate that. Again, I just want to say thank you to those 3 employees of ours that we have, David, James, and Alfred, for their amazing work, for their valor, really, in helping that family and saving the family from that vehicle and that tragic accident. Again, that's an award that we don't award very often, and they have to go above the call of duty, and they did do that during that morning. So I want to thank them for that as well. I also want to thank the staff, like we mentioned as well, for providing a healthy budget, balanced budget. Also the pavement management plan that we have, the 5-year look ahead out plan. I think that's going to be very good to hear, and I think our residents are hearing that, we are doing something, about this, and we're going to continue to look at different ways that we can think outside the box as well, to really see how we can address some of these infrastructure issues that we have in our community. I do want to commend our city manager, also our assistant city managers as well, and our staff for their amazing work with Momentum Mobile, elected mayor of this community. And it's something that I knew that we needed to bring to our city, because other cities have strategic plans, but Moreno Valley didn't have a strategic plan. So we were able to bring this Momentum Mobile, and we were actually able to bring a lot of different projects, like was mentioned, the amphitheater, the library. Now we're bringing this town center as well that's coming to our city. But again, I just want to commend them for their work with a lot of the initiatives, because many of them have actually already been completed. And the other good thing is we're embarking on a huge initiative of community cleanups in various districts. And, that was something that was also mentioned in this most recent mayoral election, was that, we have to really focus on cleanups and, and helping our homeless and those kinds of things. And as your directly elected mayor, I will continue to do that in the next 2 years. And then if I decide, I will run again and do that as well, to continue to move our city forward. We do need to focus on those major initiatives. I also want to talk a little bit about vaccinations as well. I do know that it has been very difficult for many. I've actually had the opportunity to take a few seniors to Heritage High School last Wednesday to get vaccinated. And, the lines were long. People, there was limited supplies. Some, didn't have chairs. But I do know that Staff is doing what they can, especially at the county level. And I want to commend our firefighters and our AMR staff as well for all of their hard work, and working with our seniors. Many of them, have hearing issues, just a lot of different, and all I saw there was just caring. They were just so caring to the community there, and bringing out chairs from, wherever they found them, to asking them, if you want to go inside and wait inside, anything like that. They were very, very caring, and I want to commend all of the staff, because I know we had some staff probably there as well. I actually saw, he used to be our battalion chief, Mark. So Mark was there, great guy. He did an amazing job in doing everything. And I believe that was the first day that it was kind of rolled out. So I do know that people did have to wait a while, but I think it's getting better and better. And today, had the pleasure of driving some seniors also to help them get vaccinated in the San Gregorio Middle School. And I think it went very, very well. So I want to commend the county, also AMR and our firefighters for all of their logistics, and the registered nurses and all their help as well. We're almost there. I know this is very difficult for many of us. We do have the vaccines, and there are some dosages, but there's limited supply. And so the county, the providers, they're working with the state. And I'm also, as your directly elected mayor, working with our county parts, as well as our state officials, to really see how we can get more dosages out here. And I do know that it's going to come. I know Moderna has already said they can produce over 100 million, and then Johnson & Johnson is coming hopefully next month, and hopefully they get approved. So I think it'll get a lot easier from here. And I am very happy to hear that many of the scientists are happy that these vaccines do cover at least some of the variants as well. So as many of you know, there's some variants that are out there. And so I think that's a really good thing. And hopefully, we can really tackle this. And just remember that even if you get vaccinated, it's so important to still wear your mask, still follow the public health precautions. It's very, very important, so that we can slow the spread and stop this pandemic. So I want to wish the new administration, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, tomorrow, an exciting 4 years, and looking forward to positive things to come. So at this time, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.